Welcome back. I bet you can't believe that I still have more shit to fill you in on before we get to the first entry of 9th grade. But I do. Okay, so there was more than one reason to why I broke up with Chris. One of the reasons that, I realized I didn't have any real chemistry with Chris so fast is this guy named Brandon M. started trying to court me, and I had broken up with Chris, and Brandon M. had told Sarah that he wanted to wait at least a week for me and Chris to have been broken up before he asked me out. And then apparently in that time, he realized that me being single, I was fairly unpopular. And so he didn't want to date me because he was afraid that it would make him more unpopular. And I cried so hard, and I got super, super obsessed with him because I feel like when someone bait and switches you really early in the relationship, they're like, I'm so into you, and you're like, and then you're like, all right, I'm into you too. And then they're like, psych, now I'm not into you anymore. It completely fucks you up. You're like, it explodes your brain. And then you just can't not try to figure it out. It's like, I thought that there were rules about things, and apparently there's this other completely random, unexpected thing that can just happen. So, I was really forlorn, and then last day of 8th grade, we all went on this trip to Six Flags, because 8th grade gets to go to the coolest trip. And so it was outside, and there were some water slide rides. So I wore my swimsuit top, my swimsuit bottom, and then I wore shorts over it and a t-shirt. And after I had gotten completely wet, I was like, why am I still wearing this t-shirt? So I was just rocking the bikini top and the shorts. And I was hanging out with, Krista and Brandon, who I think were still together at that point. And, Andy was there, and this guy named Tom R. was there. And we sat by each other on a couple rides, and I was like, this Tom guy, he seems really interested in me. And he was like, hey, Greta, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, what? It's the last day of school, but I'm like, I didn't even realize you liked me. He was like, oh, yeah, I've liked you. And I was like, super flattered, and okay, because Chris and I had broken up the first day of spring, and then, so this is at least a couple months later, which feels a lot longer in middle school, so don't judge me. I can date as many boys as I want. So I said yes, and I was very heartened. Then he gave me his phone number, but was like, well, for the first week or so of summer, I'm going to be at flight camp, so I won't be available to talk. And I was like, cool, that sounds like an awesome camp. I'm really looking forward to getting ice cream and walking around and riding bikes, because summer, yeah. And then he never spoke to me again. Tom R. He told our friend Sarah that he just wanted to ask me out so that he could sit next to me all day so he could stare at my boobs. And then she told me that she had actually noticed that the whole day he'd had his head on my shoulder doing this, but that he was just staring at my rack, and that he just wanted a view of the cleavage for the day and had no intention of actually dating me whatsoever. So that felt great to learn early that summer. Also, I never mentioned when I found out I was bisexual. I found out I was bisexual because my brother John and Sarah started dating. And one time I was trying to hang out with Sarah because she was one of my best friends. And John was like, I'm going to come hang out too because she's my girlfriend. And I was like, she was my friend first, you jerk. Stop dating all my friends. Because he does it again later. We were hanging out in the bed, and he was trying to put his hand around her. And she was like, just stop touching me. And he was very confused, understandably. And she was like, to be honest, right now, Greta's turning me on more than you are. And I was just like, what? I'm turning you on? And she was like, yeah. And I was just like, and that turned me on. What does this mean? I thought about it for a while after that. And I was like, oh my God. This is appealing to my, raging hormones just as much as back when I made out with that Chris guy. Chris knew I was bisexual. That was, another thing that Chris and Jay were all like, Jesus wouldn't like you being bisexual, and so we're not sure about this friendship with you anymore. It was just Krista still hung out with me. God, there's so many other stories I remember from 8th grade that none of them are in the diary. And then 9th grade begins. So in 9th grade, I go to Krista's birthday party, which is within the last month of summer. and I meet Ben A and Katie K. Now, Ben A was going to the other middle school that both funnel into the same high school. I have this little picture of Ben. Isn't he adorable? In the picture, I'm over here putting my arm around him. But I looked bad, so cut myself out of the picture because it was making an ugly face. Now, Krista went to church with Ben. I don't really recall Ben being particularly religious. Katie K and I hit it off right away. And she and I started dating. She lived in Stillwater. She went to a different high school. But at the same time, I had also started dating Ben, who went to my high school. Both Ben and Katie knew I was bisexual, and they both knew that I was dating the other one. During my time dating Ben, we went to homecoming together. I actually still have the fabulous picture of he and I at the homecoming dance. The thing about Ben is I almost never hung out with him outside of school. We went to a few dances together, and we would talk on the phone, and he would mostly listen to me cry about people being mean to me. Ben was actually very hot and cold. Of course, compared to me, everyone's, a certain degree of cold because I am very... But I started hanging out with this boy named Tom, who was in 10th grade when we were in 9th grade. And he was very assertive and very flirtatious. When we enter this diary entry, it's November. My birthday was in October. All right, I have brought Signy back to end this entry as well. If you missed the first half of the bridge from 8th to 9th grade video, you can click the link up there in that corner, and then when I finally have the very first actual entry from 9th grade, you can click the link to that down there. I hope you're having an awesome day. I'm gonna say goodbye.